What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review the second album by rapper Flo Rida. Basically this project is called Roots, which is an acronym for Route of Overcoming the Struggle, and it came out in the spring of 2009. So the thing about this particular project is just the fact that Flo Rida kind of exploded on the scene in like late 2007, early 2008, and basically his debut single pretty much was like a #1 for like one of the biggest times in like the 2000s as far as this pitch going to happen. I think it was like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 weeks, something like that. Pretty excellent type there with the hit single Low with T-Pain, some excellent typeness to kind of get there. It was a huge song throughout the first half of 2008, pitches like that. Definitely like in terms of ringtone, digital sales pitches like that, was one of the bigger songs out of the 2000s in general. Just very distinct song from that particular time. The rest of the album fared pretty well. I reviewed that particular album by Flo Rida, Mail on Sunday, back in like the summer of 2023. Had some excellent aspects on there. I don't remember what I gave it, but it did have some follow-up singles. I do remember some of the occasional ones off that album also in terms of the singles like Elevator and In the Air, but in terms of the pitches, it continues to be Low that collects most of like the altitude. But this particular album, definitely I would have to say surpasses it. And like once again, I don't remember if I gave Mail on Sunday like a 10 out of 10, but it's definitely a pretty vicious album. So this is like an excellent 1-2 punch here. Flo Rida continues to hit the ground running, and his lead single off this particular album was a #1 as well. So this is kind of the concept. This happens to be something that just connected with a lot of appeal towards it, and was something that he with the hit single Right Round, he broke his records that he set with Low just the year before as far as this pitch going to happen. He helped find like a new singer in Kesha. I don't know if it was this full bound like this particular song that propelled Kesha, but it was definitely the concept. She wasn't around as much in the 2000s, but she exploded on the scene as well in like 2010 as far as this pitch going to happen. But just within the appeal, just looking after just being able to say this particular album outstrips Mail on Sunday as far as having a lot more commercial appeal. And the thing about this particular product is just the fact that it kind of lays to the wayside like the standard kind of southern rap and 2000s music as far as this pitch is going to happen. This is a very much trailblazing and kind of send off of embrace of like the early 2010s EDM that was getting ready to happen throughout the next several years as far as this pitch is going to happen. I would definitely say that Flo Rida really had like a sound that he was developing and attempting that was not quite as seen as much on Mail on Sunday, but he definitely found a sound and then just kind of went with it with this particular album. It's just kind of the concept. This was kind of before, in certain senses, like David Guetta was like a huge thing, and Pitbull was really dominating in like the 2010s, some of those type folks, and Rihanna was really getting #1 after #1. Just folks like that, they hadn't quite embraced that as much, but someone who really spearheaded that particular sound, it was definitely pretty early bird to kind of done it back in March or so 2009 was Flo Rida just within the pitch as far as that particularly going to happen. So if you do miss songs with a little bit more 2000s kind of boppish type flair, if you notice that songs like In the Air and Elevator and like Low sound different from all 6 of the singles off this project, it's just basically the case that Flo Rida basically transformed and found a pretty good amalgamated sound that just took the world by storm quite a bit. So it's just kind of the concept. Because yeah, I would say that Mail on Sunday kind of relied more on like trends that were kind of already happening, like T-Pain and Timbaland, and then like Will.I.Am, some of those type of folks that were kind of popping around that particular time. But this particular album, he transforms it on his own, just has some sounds that continue to be in music for a good while, basically between probably about like late 2008, 2009 to about 2013, 2014, 2015, even just within the pitch. I mean, EDM lasted for a good chunk of like the 2010s, was just within the pitch that Flo Rida was definitely one of the forefronts of that particular style. So this has some good concept. This is easily a classic album here. It's going to get a pretty vintage, high grade score as far as this pitch is going to happen. Just within the tone, classic score within that. Just have to say, very impactful looking back on it just within the tone. Kind of underappreciated nowadays. I just look after it. Not sure if this album went platinum or multi-platinum, something like that. Seemed like it was more of the singles that kind of were the big deal about this product, more so than the full-blown aspects of actually purchasing this product. But I would definitely have to say it has the aspect of being something ambitious just within the tone behind it. So it's just kind of an excellent time for that Flo Rida had so many of these hits and just did it so gnarlingly as far as it goes. Because yeah, this particular album is just blockade hit after hit after hit. Out of 13 songs on here, there's really only one song I don't recommend, so that should tell you that this album's going to get a 10 out of 10. But it's just kind of the concept of just how many consistent hits, and this is a fun project. It's SFW on top of that. Definitely this is a very fun and social type project just within the aspect behind it. Has lots of out and abouts just within the tone behind it, and it has some SFW type tunes on here within those pitches, standard type fare. A lot of good product, but just the concept of just like good. I mean, it has Monday music, Wednesday music, Friday music, holiday type music, not Christmas holiday, but just like taking a 3, 4, 5 day vacation, some of that type of just vicious type tones. And just has the aspect, if you need SFWs kind of within the pitch, it is balancing that, but it does have some pretty gnarled typeness. So it's just within the concept. I want to say it's actually pretty tough to track down like the explicit edition of this album. I've tried in the past. A reason why I didn't review this before is just because the concept that I didn't want the clean version of this particular album, but the actual explicit version, it just kind of, it's not so much that Flo Rida frowns on that particular concept, but it just does not have it on as much common display as far as saying, well, it's kind of like, why are you so hell-bent on getting like the explicit edition? It's not like it's vividly kind of saying that, but it's just within the tone that it's just not as commonly marketed. Sometimes when you look on Amazon or something like that, it doesn't really as much aptly kind of showcase the concept of having the explicit version of this album. It kind of assumes that there's only one version, but there is an explicit. It's just a lot tougher to track down. I mean, maybe I realize I'm going to purchase this album off iTunes soon enough within those pitches, but just within the tones, it's kind of here and there as far as being able to snag it if you find the physical edition. That's the explicit. So that's this kind of thing, the CD edition. But so yeah, there's 6 singles off this album. Easily kind of outstripped the only being 3, almost 4 on Mail on Sunday. I'd have to say, and a lot of these were a pretty big deal. Just, I mean, normally an album that gets this 6th single would kind of be that way, but a couple of these were top 10 singles, at least one of which right around hit number 1. Sugar was like a top 5 single. A lot of these were just other charting type ones that did a lot of damage. So basically, Right Round is the number 1 on here. This is the lead single, hit number 1. First single, just like Low did on Mail on Sunday. It's like a glissy kind of pop rap, exuberant sequel to Low. I definitely would say here, great lead single. I'd definitely say about that. Embraces EDM in like a swan dive, I'd say in particular. So it's just an excellent type fare. This is kind of trendy around the time. I think this is another big deal that Flo Rida was just back in spades, just within the pitch, nailed it. Just was able to showcase that he wasn't a fluke and just had some hits and tricks up his sleeves as far as that particular kind of went. Just some excellent type fare. Really liked the sample on this particular song. He was pretty good at finding those particular ones that he knows that folks would just chant and just remember and just have some good times to. He was pretty consistent with being able to do that. So he was kind of becoming like the face of pop rap as far as this pitch kind of happened, and he was kind of someone that helped. He was kind of someone that was someone that was responsible for shifting Nelly out of the spotlight as like the de facto kind of pop rap artist for a while. It was kind of him. Then later on it was Post Malone, and then there were some folks past that, but definitely for like a good while between like about 2000, late 2007 to about 2013, 2014, 2015, it was Flo Rida. So he was like the face of pop rap when Nelly was for like most of the 2000s. Was just good pitch. But yeah, Shown was the second single. It's another highlight here. This one didn't chart as heavily, but it's definitely not one you want to ignore. It's like a sparky kind of electro dance club hitter, I'd had to say. Grand kind of two-step gem to kind of get within that tone. Just grand kind of two-step gem to kind of get within that tone. Just a social kind of drinks up type tune. Easy kind of pop and night fair is going to have within that aspect. So it's just a good compliment to Right Round, just without the kind of sampled chorus just within the pitch. So this one does not sample something for like a further back type song. It's just an excellent type fair. Pleasure P from Pretty Ricky. I want to say Pleasure P was from Pretty Ricky. I'm fairly certain he was. I don't remember his full blown, but I think it was Pleasure P that was part of Pretty Ricky. But Pleasure P, when he went solo, he did some hooks and stuff like that. Did a few albums, but he's on this particular song. Works pretty well as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just excellent type fare. It's nice type heat. All of these singles are pretty social. Just be able to say, if you do like that particular fare, it's just a very vicious album in terms of the concept. It's not vicious. It's not vicious in terms of the concept of getting shit faced and just winding up on somebody's couch or puking in front of a toilet as far as those pitches can happen. Definitely has those aspects on here, but it's just kind of within the tone that it has some SFW type pitches if you do need some Monday and Wednesday type music just within the tones behind it. There are some ones, but some of these, I feel like Right Round is one of those ones just with that hitting number 1 that can probably be played any day of the week within the tones. It's just a relatively vanilla type one for late 2000s type fare and early 2010s. But look, after there are some ones, I'll point out the ones that are more SFW, but it's just kind of within the pitch that Shown's definitely a pretty gnarled type one that works pretty well. Just good aspects for that. Definitely some pretty gnarled type fare. But all 6 of these singles are just dance club heat, so this is just a real classic here just to say that further. But Sugar is like the 3rd single. This is another top 5 single off the Billboard 100. Big deal around the time when it came out. It's like some further kind of vicious quality and like some dance club fun to kind of get here. Just a fizzy kind of radio ready gem, I would feel like. Just SFW kind of makeshift step out, I'd have to say. Pretty good for like midweek. Song like Sugar, which has another great sample on there just within that excellent type pitch. I forget the name of what they're called, but they did the song I'm Blue, some pitches like that. But it's just a good type tone. Basically great Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday type music. Just beginning of the week type fare. just a basic kind of step out of maybe just having like a brief kind of beer or something like that, just in the tone of hitting up like a dance club just to get some reprieve just within that tone, and just having SFW type fares within the pitch behind it. It's more kind of simplistic kind of basis, but it is a thrill of a project spell that has done. This is definitely one to have for like a tape deck of just having these continued boss of just being able to play just the aspect of having your beginning of the week, end of the week type fare, just having some of those type mixtures, just be able to pick out which one, and just kind of have different modes, and then be recognizable singles that have a lot of appeal and casual pizzazz on top of that. So it works within that. Jump is a real excellent type one. This is probably one of my more favorite songs off this particular album. Definitely some real vicious type of appeal. It's like a stock kind of step out album is full of heaters like this one. I'd have to say just trailblazing type song kind of get here. This is basically how to do like a recent dance classic album, I'd have to say, within that, and this song slaps pretty damn well, I'd have to say. Pretty good concept for there to be a Nelly Furtado hook on here. She's definitely a chica that folks need to have more often be on some of these hooks as far as those choruses kind of happen. Just underappreciated. It's the same thing. There's like a Winter Gordon chick that does Sugar. I don't know how commonly she's really happened. Kesha's not super frequent to have on hooks either. I'd say Flo Rida really picks some ones on here. Pleasure P is not common. That's a very awesome aspect about this project, is it picks hooks on this particular album. I mean, Akon is not on a hook until like the 6th single, and most normal folks would put him on like the 1st or 2nd single, so it's just a good concept. This is a very hooky type project, has a lot of great singers on here. Flo Rida just lets these R&B singers or pop artists do that concept of what they need, and it's just the aspect that these are pretty just instantaneous kind of hits just within the tone behind it. They give him some great hooks to just be able to do, and he's pretty good at doing hooks himself, so it's just within the pitch behind it. But Jump is a definite kind of vicious highlight just within the tone. Has a real stock type beat. Just really, this is one where you probably are going to be torn out of your head just within the concept. This one's not as SFW ready. I feel like Shown and Jump are the ones that are just a little bit more just get crunk a little bit and just kind of just not be worried about responsibilities. But there are some ones like Right Round, Sugar, and like Available that kind of have more SFW type pitch. But Be On You is the 5th single. Now this is one that is not like vicious turn up, but it's just kind of more with romance kind of in mind. It has to say it's like a more flashy kind of pop rap promo times kind of get here. Just some good date evening kind of pizzazz kind of have within this. Just looking minty and just some glossed outs to kind of get within that fair as far as those pitch kind of happen with it. Just within an excellent type aspect. Just looking after the tone. It's easy kind of hands full type pitch as far as those. It's easily kind of hands full type pitch as far as that particular kind of goes. It's not so much of just like get shit faced at a clubs and pitches like that, just to say, or just a standard kind of just dance without something in mind. It's just kind of the concept of just having more preoccupied type fare with bellas and bays as far as those pitches kind of happen just within the tone behind it. Just taking Boo to a dance club, being, buying her stuff, getting her some drinks, some of that type fare, just kind of the concept of just spoiling her, pitches like that as far as those fares kind of happen within that tone. Just a good type tone for just good type dance club music for songs as a set, I'd have to say, as far as those pitches kind of having good type fare. And then Available is a nice one. This is a real nice bop on here. Once again, like I was saying, this has Akon on the hook, and this is, considering how huge he was in 2008, 2009, it's an excellent type pitch that he saved the Akon hook until the 6th single, just within the fare behind it. That's how blistering this album is. But yeah, this is just hitter after hitter here, just some snarling radio appeal with this particular one, and basically with all 6 of the singles, I'd have to say. But this would definitely be like some SFW kind of Wednesday step out, I feel like here, just a healthy groove to kind of get. So this is kind of the concept where it kind of balances it. I do think Flo Rida does get fucked up within the appreciation behind it, but it's just kind of within the tone of realizing that having have the light bill paid and some of those type fares, getting the bills paid, keeping gas in your car, some of these type basic appeals that have to be taken care of, is just within the aspect of going out and having that step out, but just also having like the aspect of realizing that maybe not tomorrow, but maybe the day after, you have to still be presentable within the pitch, just within the aspect of just kind of the fare of just having like those in-between type moments. So it's just some good type of feels. There's at least 3 out of 6 of these singles that are relatively SFW, like I was saying. Sugar, Right Round, and Available are some of those ones, like I was saying, just within the fare behind it. Just being able to be social and have like the occasional cut loose, but just within the concept of still having other stuff on your mind in terms of tasks as far as this pitch kind of goes. So it's just within a good type of appeal. So Flo Rida is pretty good at balancing that. This is a pretty gnarled type album. There are some crazy joints on here, but it's just within the concept of balancing that and having that appeal. So yeah, this album, like I was saying, is going to get a 10 out of 10. The only song I don't recommend in any fashion is just the song Never, which this one is just kind of a poor, dramatic type one. I just would have to say within the pitch, just didn't really appreciate the appeal behind it. I mean, it kind of almost gave me vibes of Tupac on like a song like Holla At Me, some of those type pitches, just a real looming type one that just felt like a little bit of paranoia and just freneticness about it. But I just feel like the aspect as to how it particularly kind of went just didn't suit like the rest of this project. It's kind of like a tone. I mean, this is a relatively snappy type project, so I just feel like the appeal just kind of shifted to this particular type of disc. It was kind of strange to have gotten this as like an album cut. I feel like Flo Rida disc had better album cuts on the appeal of this song was just not as nailed as compared to some of the ones off of Mail on Sunday. Even though this is the better album, it's just kind of within the pitch. But I look after it, it's really not. This whole album is pretty much like a jolt in the arm as far as this pitch can happen. Even the song Never basically has like its relative energy about it that just has like a relative compellingness. It's just kind of the concept that the paranoia and just the overall kind of like freneticness of the particular song just didn't have as much affluence as Full Blown. But it's not like a bad song, and saying that this is like it's something that tears away the quality behind it. It's definitely still going to get a 10 out of 10 just within the pitch, but that is like the thing. So, but basically some of these. Roots is a real nice one. The title track, this is like a trendy and glitzy kind of mixtape hustle song, I'd have to say here. Just starry-eyed pep to kind of get within that tone, just after task kind of relief to kind of be able to have, and just some head to night outings type of appeal to be able to get towards. So just a basic song that you listen to after 5:36, just as like the sun's starting to set, and you know that you've got some free time, just enough to be able to step out, hit up like a dance club, something like that. Go get some drink, get some supplies, hit up the homies or chicas as far as those pitch kind of having the standard type of appeal, standard Thursday, Friday night type fare. In Roots, the title track was definitely a pretty trendy type one, just within the sense because it's kind of the aspect of capitalizing on that sort of sound that like so many folks would do on like their mixtapes, like Meek Mill and Rick Ross and Yo Gotti. Some of those type folks in particular, I definitely would say just feels like a mixtape hustle cut. It's not like an album as far as those pitch kind of happen. Just a real starry-eyed type one. So it's just within that fare. Rewind is a pretty nice one as well. Now this is not one I just super commonly listen to, but it's just within the aspect of saying it is a pretty nice boppish type one that kind of switches the tone a little bit. It's just a little bit more of like a rebound type song, just kind of the concept of like a forlorn and kind of down on your luck type makeshift rainy day type comedy to kind of get here. Just within the pitch behind it, just some dreary kind of Monday music, but it peps you as far as those pitch kind of happen with this. So it's just kind of the concept of just having bay problems as far as those pitch kind of happen. Just kind of the concept of getting you back up on your feet just within the pitch, of just having that standard kind of appeal. Yeah, just basic kind of rainy day type slide kind of get within that tone, but it's a relatively vanilla type song just within the pitch behind it. Despite the fact that like the commonplace of the lyrics of like the song is really not as forlorn as like it would full blown kind of appear. Flo Rida is still pretty much in like an uppity and this kind of chipper type mode as far as those pitch kind of happen. Just has the aspect behind it as far as that kind of goes. I mean, the content of the song depicts that, but it's just kind of the tone that is still relatively has the vanilla kind of pizzazz about it, I have to say. Touch Me with Kesha is another quality one just within the aspect as well. It's like a boppish kind of night venue heat to kind of get within that tone. Just good further Kesha collabs to kind of have. I'm glad that there were two of these on this album. It's a good type fare for that. It's like a freaky kind of electro gem to kind of have in like some late night song to kind of get within that pitch. So I look after it. Just basic kind of highlights on here. There are some songs I'm getting ready to get to, like Final or like Gotta Get It, Dancer, and a little bit of Mind on My Money that just have continued aspects. With the fact that there being 6 singles that are all towards the dance club and just step out as far as those vicious type of appeals going to happen. These are just some further type ones. Touch Me's not so much like an SFW type one, but it is a nice boppish type one to get within that tone and just some good step out just within the pitch of just having something for just being more freaky deaky type mode, and just the aspect of getting ready to get crunk and just have some great times within it. So it's a good type fare. It's another stock highlight, and it's pretty commercial within the sense all of these for the most part have some pretty radio appeal. A lot of the hookiness on this particular album, so that's why I was saying even the album cuts feel like singles here, so it's a good type fare. Mind on My Money is a pretty quality one. It's like a jazzy kind of in-between commute gliss of it. Mind on My Money is another highlighted one as well. It's like a jazzy kind of in-between commute, I would definitely say here. Just the gliss of like a dance club with like everyday. This particular song is like a mixture of having like the gliss of like a dance club song with like everyday tasks kind of commerce as far as those pitch kind of happen. So it's just kind of a more trekking type one, just standard commute within the pitch, and just like some standard kind of makeshift, but just within the aspect of kind of being in like the mood and mode to go to like a dance club as far as those pitch kind of happen. It has the dance club type appeals more in the chorus, but the kind of more makeshift type appeals more in the verses. So it's just kind of within the aspect of just if you are kind of within that mode or just thinking if it's like a Tuesday or Thursday, something like that, some day where you have if it's like a Tuesday or a Thursday, some day where you have work the next day and you're ready to go to the dance club, but you still have the aspect of just kind of being in relative SFW type modes just within the pitch of having some of that commerce of just mind here, but body here as far as those pitch can happen just in the tones. Good type tone for that. Gotta Get It, Dancer's another vicious type one. This is like a woozy kind of continued night sparkle on like the dance floor, I would definitely say here. Just a great hooky album cut, I would definitely have to say about this one. This song exhilarates pretty damn well, so it's just within the pitch behind it. Really like the kind of like auto-tune type sample on this particular one. I forget the name of this particular group that does like this kind of robotic auto-tune type voices. It's like those folks that dropped an album, I forget what it's called. They did like a song with Pharrell Pharrell in like 2013. I'm sure folks are probably saying who it is, but there's two of them. I just look at. I don't remember who it is. It probably stretch on the review for like a good while. I'll probably put it in the connotation, but they did like a song with Pharrell, and they're not Daft Punk. That's who it is. Daft Punk was the ones that particularly it sounds very similar. The song "Gotta Get a Dancer" has appeals similar to like Roger Troutman and Daft Punk, some of those type folks, just with an appeal. Real nice boppish one. Good type appeal for that. And then finally, here's a nice one as well. It's like a night commerce and like a dredgy kind of haze that I had to say with like a breath of relief about this. I'd have to say in particular, just some basic kind of night hustle song and just a great song to be wide awake to. So it's just good kickoff to like the albums for those pitch kind of happen. Good sequels in like a pseudo sense to American Superstar. Too bad it doesn't have someone like Lil Wayne on there. That was a good capture of what Flo Rida got back in 2008. Just getting early 2008 era Lil Wayne right before he dropped the Carter 3. But this is a good kickoff. A little bit more basic within the pitch behind it, but just a good concept of just being able to have some of that just kind of. Finally, here is just a great night calmer stretch to kind of get within some Travers as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just a basic breath of relief, like I was saying, good concept just to have some of that for just like embracing the night and just being done with tasks and responsibilities for us those pitches kind of happen. But it still is kind of like a night hustle song within that pitch. So just a good, nice one to be wide awake to. And that's the fare behind this album. So I guess a 10 out of 10 was just what I had to say. Tone behind is pretty exhilarating just within pitch, just hit after hit after hit. The social score is going to get a 10 out of 10 as well. There's just too many singles to not say that just within the pitch. All of these have some great appeal. The SFW ones hit home just within the pitch of having like work friendliness, just having some coworkers to step out with you just within the appeal if you do have to be in a more SFW type mode. Some ones that kind of get vicious, turn up just within the pitch. Some date night songs just within that relative fare, some good type tones for that relative type appeal, and this overall this commerce and this pitch like that. Now I will say in terms of like the standard smoke type stuff, this is not really like a smoker's toolkit of an album. Just within the fare is more drink and liquor in mind more so than smoking and pitches like that. The standard kind of get crunk typeness. This is relatively. It's not so much white collar and frou-frou pitches like that, but it's just kind of within the aspect of not as much leaning on like the rugged side of things. I realized that Flo Rida had some of those type cuts and like mild traces on Mail on Sunday, but it's just kind of more within like a relative just kind of mode of just SFW-ness with like the Pitbull type craziness that he had on like his 2010s projects. It's just within that tone just being able to say that, but the socialness is there. Just have to say. So that's the concept. So 10 out of 10 social as well. In terms of the future, like Flo Rida has been kind of distant. And so in terms of the future, Flo Rida has been kind of a question mark in recent times. He has not dropped any project whatsoever since 2016 with his My House EP, which I reviewed back in 2023. So it's kind of a question mark as to what he's been up to. It's not really known as much. I think he's at least on Instagram and Twitter, some of those type places, but it's just within the concept. He has said that he was going to put out an album. It just never came out. It's just kind of the concept. I feel like at this stage, 2016 is almost 9 years ago, so it's just kind of within the pitch if he'd still had the impact that he had back in like the mid 2010s as far as those pairs going to happen. It seems like he's been replaced. Years ago he was replaced with Post Malone, and it's kind of up in the air as to who replaced Post Malone nowadays. That I'd say is just within the pitch. It'd be nice to get some more Flo Rida, but look within the pitch. It'd be nice to get some more Flo Rida, but this is an excellent classic here, just within the pitch behind it. Just being able to say the aspect of what it delivered upon this, all the bases that it covered. It's a trailblazing type project, and just hits it blisteringly time and time and time and time again.